Welcome back. We are tackling something really fascinating today, something we all think about, the idea of influence. I
Hmm.
mean, in the modern world, we're almost obsessed with it, aren't we?
We are. It's a metric.
It's a metric, exactly. It's about how many followers you have or how persuasive your sales copy is. Can you command a room? It's always treated as this external thing, a skill set you go out and acquire.
Right. It's the sales tactic definition of influence.
Mhm.
Charisma as a tool, or maybe even a weapon you use on people.
Yeah, a weapon. But the book we're unpacking today, it just flips that definition completely on its head.
It really does.
We're looking at a text that argues influence isn't something you do at all. It's just a byproduct of what you are. It's about the atmosphere you carry with you, not the words that come out of your mouth.
And what's so wild is the source for this very modern-sounding idea. It's surprisingly old.
Hmm.
We are looking at In Tune with the Infinite by Ralph Waldo Trine,
Published all the way back in 1897.
1897. I mean, you have to put that in context. This is the peak of the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
The world is getting loud, it's getting mechanical, it's obsessed with material production.
Cities are filling up with steam and steel and smoke.
Exactly. And right in the middle of all that noise, Trine publishes this book about, invisible forces and inner peace and the mechanics of the spirit. It's so countercultural for its time.
And it wasn't some fringe pamphlet that nobody read. This thing was a massive phenomenon. It sold millions of copies.
Millions. And we have notes here that Queen Victoria read it. But the one that always stops people in their tracks is Henry Ford.
That's the one. It just doesn't compute at first. You think of Ford, you think assembly lines, efficiency, nuts and bolts. The ultimate pragmatist.
The man of steel, right. But he attributed a huge amount of his success in business to the principles in this book. He apparently kept stacks of it in his office and would just hand them out to his executives.
So if it's practical enough for Henry Ford to literally build an automotive empire on, it is definitely worth our attention.
For sure.
But I do want to set the mission for our discussion right up front. The title, In Tune with the Infinite. It sounds undeniably a little
Woo-woo.
woo-woo, yeah. It sounds like we might be about to break out the crystals and burn some sage.
Right.
But our goal here is to strip all of that away. Because when you actually read the text, Trine is writing about mechanics. He's writing about cause and effect.
He's an engineer of the soul, in a way. He treats the spiritual world exactly like he would the physical world. He argues it's governed by laws.
Like gravity.
Exactly like gravity. Gravity doesn't care if you believe in it. If you step off a roof, it just works. Trine says there are laws of the mind and spirit that work the same way. If you understand the mechanism, you get the result.
So we are looking at this as a practical manual for mental stability, for what he calls spiritual influence. And before we get into the nuts and bolts of how all this works, I have a quick request. If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one.
It really does help us keep these conversations going.
So let's start the foundation. Trine opens with what he calls the supreme fact of the universe. He does not bury the lead, does he?
No, he's very confident about it. He starts by identifying what he calls a golden thread that runs through all of human history. He says if you look at the greatest philosophies, the enduring religions, the lives of the most effective people,
And not just religious figures, right? He's talking about leaders, creatives.
everyone, anyone who really shaped the world.
Mm.
He says they all share this common denominator. And it isn't that they were just smarter or that they worked harder.
Because plenty of people work hard and just burn out.
Right. Hard work is common. Even genius is rare, but not that rare. The golden thread Trine identifies is that these people lived in accordance with law.
Mm.
They understood, on some level, that there's a source of power, a spirit of infinite life that animates everything.
And the crucial part is they stop trying to do everything with their own limited, isolated strength.
That's the perfect analogy for it. They tapped into the main's power instead of just running on their own little batteries.
So Trine defines this supreme fact as a spirit of infinite life and power that is behind all things, animates all things, and manifests through all forms. It's the energy source for everything.
Yeah, the fundamental reality.
Okay, so we need to be really precise here. When he says infinite spirit, that can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. Is he talking about a specific religious figure, a man in the sky?
He is very, very careful to avoid that. He's not talking about a personality, not a bearded figure on a cloud who's judging you. He's talking about a pervasive life force, an intelligence.
Okay.
Think of it like the electricity running through the wires of a house. The electricity isn't the lamp and it isn't the toaster, But the lamp and the toaster are completely useless without it.
And to explain our relationship to this force, he uses that classic analogy of the ocean and the drop. This really helped me visualize it.
It's a powerful one. So you imagine the ocean. It's vast, it's powerful, it seems endless.
Okay, got it.
Now, imagine you take a small cup and you scoop out a single drop of water.
Okay, I got my drop.
Now, is that drop the ocean? Well, in terms of size and volume, of course not. It's tiny. But what about in terms of its quality, its essence?
It's identical. It's made of the same stuff, H2O, same salinity, same molecular structure.
It is identical in quality to the entire ocean. The drop contains the nature of the ocean. And Trine says this is the supreme fact of human life. We are not separate from this infinite power. We are individualized expressions of it. We are the drop.
But the big problem, according to him, is that most of us live our lives as if we are separate. We act like we aren't water.
That's the core illusion. We live as if the drop has forgotten what it is. We feel like a dry speck of dust floating in a hostile vacuum. We feel distinct, isolated, and because of that, we feel vulnerable.
And that feeling of separation, that's where all the fear and anxiety comes from.
Precisely. If you think you're a tiny, isolated biological unit fighting against a massive, indifferent universe, of course you're going to be terrified. You're completely outgunned. The universe is big, and you're small.
But if you realize your oneness with the infinite, if you remember you are the water, then you can access the qualities of the ocean.
Yes. And those qualities are things like wisdom, power, peace, strength. And this is a critical, mechanical shift in his thinking. These are not things you have to go out and get. You don't buy peace at the store. You don't manufacture wisdom through sheer brute force.
They flow into you.
They flow into you because of what you are if you're open to them. This is his whole concept of the divine inflow.
Divine inflow. It almost sounds like a plumbing term.
In a way, it is, and that's a really good way to think about it. Think of it like a valve. Trine says that because we are fundamentally connected to this infinite source, there is a constant pressure of wisdom and life force trying to flow into us. It is always there, pushing at the door.
So the supply is never the problem. The ocean hasn't run dry.
Never. The ocean doesn't run out of water.
Yeah.
The problem is the valve. We have the free will to either open that valve or to close it.
And what opens it?
States of being. When we're calm, when we're in a state of faith or goodwill or love, we open the valve and we get the inflow. We feel energized. We get ideas. We feel inspired.
And when we close it, what shuts the valve?
Fear, worry, anger, selfishness, resentment, all those constricting emotions, they literally shut the valve. Trine is so specific about this. He says when you're in a state of fear, you are literally cutting off your own power supply. You're pinching the hose.
You know, that explains so much about why chronic stress is so exhausting. It's not just the mental effort of worrying, it's that you've literally disconnected yourself from the source of your energy.
You're running a heavy-duty appliance, which is your life, on a tiny, dying battery. And eventually you just burn out. We see it everywhere. Physical illness, mental fatigue, that feeling of just constantly banging your head against a wall. Trine's advice is simple. Open the valve.
It's interesting because we usually think of sleep or maybe a vacation as the only ways to recharge. But he seems to be suggesting you can recharge in real time if the connection is open.
Exactly. If you're plugged into the mains power, you don't need to stop to recharge the battery. The energy is continuous. And this changes your whole approach to work and life. You're not working from your own limited strength. You're working with a power that's flowing through you.
So the supreme fact is basically realizing the power outlet exists and that we are, by our nature, already plugged into it. We just have to stop tripping the breaker.
That's it. And from that foundation, the book shifts into how this shapes our actual tangible reality. This is where we get into the architecture of the world, cause and effect.
This is where it gets very, very practical. He draws this sharp line between two realms. The unseen and the seen.
Right.
So let's break those down. What is the seen?
The seen is the realm of effects. It's everything physical. It's the balance in your bank account, the house you live in, your physical health, the number of emails in your inbox, the way your boss looks at you in a meeting. It is the material output of life. It's the finished building.
Okay. And the unseen?
The unseen is the realm of cause. This is your mind, your spirit, your thoughts, your core beliefs, your dominant emotional state. It's the invisible workshop where reality is forged. It's the blueprint for the building.
And Trine's core argument, if I'm getting this right, is that most of us are doing it completely backwards. We spend all our energy trying to change our lives by manipulating the scene.
Exactly. We're running around trying to change the effects without ever altering the causes. It's like looking in a mirror and seeing that your face is dirty, so you grab a cloth and you start furiously scrubbing the mirror.
You can scrub the glass until it breaks, but the reflection is never going to be clean until you go and wash your own face.
That is the core error of modern life, according to Trine. We run around trying to fix our circumstances. We try to force other people to like us. We try to manipulate money into appearing. We try to strong-arm our health into being better. But Trine says all true. Lasting change has to start in the unseen. You're the architect. Your internal state is the blueprint.
And this leads directly into one of the most famous and maybe most misunderstood concepts in the book: thoughts are forces.
Yes, and he means this absolutely literally. Now, you have to remember, in 1897, saying thoughts are forces was a radical, almost mystical statement. Today, we actually have a bit more scientific scaffolding to hang that on.
We do. We have neuroscience that talks about neural pathways, how repeated thoughts physically restructure the brain, Hebb's law.
Yeah.
Neurons that fire together wire together.
Exactly. And we know that mental stress triggers cortisol and adrenaline, which have profound physical effects on the body, causing inflammation. So the idea that the unseen mind creates the seen body is just accepted medical fact now. But Trine takes it a step further, out into the environment.
He talks about the attractive power of the mind, the law that like builds like.
This is the mechanics of resonance. It's a vibrational principle. He says if you hold thoughts of weakness, fear, and poverty in your mind, in that unseen realm, you're doing two things at once. First, you're literally building weakness and stress into your own biological structure.
Right.
But second, and this is the bigger leap for some, you are broadcasting a signal out into the universe.
Like a radio transmitter.
Exactly. And that signal, that frequency, attracts things of a corresponding nature. If you're broadcasting a signal of, I am a victim, you will attract people and situations that make you feel like a victim. If you broadcast, I am lacking, you attract circumstances that deplete you. You are literally building a reality that has to match your blueprint.
It's interesting because this completely removes the idea of luck or chance.
Trine is very hard on the concept of luck. He would argue that what we call good luck or bad luck is actually just resonance. It's law. If you are vibrating with confidence, with goodwill, with a sense of purpose, you will attract people and opportunities that resonate with that frequency.
So it looks like you got lucky with that job offer.
But actually, you created an inner atmosphere that the job offer was naturally drawn into. It had to come to you because it was a match for your state of being.
He calls this the divine sequence.
The divine sequence is what happens when you stop fighting the current of the universe. When your thoughts and your inner state align with the higher laws, love, wisdom, peace, harmony, you step into the flow. Things start to work out, not necessarily effortlessly, but with a certain grace. The friction disappears.
And the opposite is true. When we're full of hate or anxiety or resentment, we're trying to swim upstream.
We are fighting the divine sequence. And what happens when you swim upstream against a powerful current? You get exhausted, and eventually you drown. Trine suggests that most human suffering, the struggle, the burnout, the constant feeling of being thwarted, it all comes from trying to swim against the fundamental laws of the universe.
Okay, now I want to pause here and challenge this a little bit, because this line of thinking, if you're not careful, can get dangerous. It can sound a lot like victim blaming.
It's a crucial point to address.
If someone gets sick or they lose their job or something terrible happens, is Trine really saying, well, that's your fault, you just had bad thoughts?
It is a critical nuance, and he's not saying that. He isn't saying that every specific bad event is a punishment you consciously ordered from some cosmic menu. He acknowledges that we live in a complex world with many interacting forces. But what he is emphasizing is ultimate responsibility.
Okay.
He has this one line that is just, it's so potent. He says, within yourself lies the cause of whatever enters into your life.
That is a heavy, heavy statement.
It's incredibly heavy. But think for a second about the alternative.
Yeah.
If the cause is not within you, then where is it?
It's out there somewhere. It's fate, it's chance, it's the economy, it's the whims of other people.
Right. And if the cause is out there, what does that make you?
Helpless.
A victim.
Just a cork bobbing on the ocean, pushed around by waves I can't control.
Exactly. If the cause is external, you have no power. But if the cause is internal, if it's in your thought, your being, then you are powerful. It might take time to change the momentum of your life, just like a huge ship takes a long time to turn. But if you realize you're the captain holding the wheel, you can start turning it today.
So it's about empowerment, not blame. It's saying, I am the architect, and if I don't like the building I'm living in, I have the power to draw a new set of plans.
Precisely. And that power to draw new plans depends entirely on how you view the world. Which brings us to his incredible section on the optimist versus the pessimist.
I loved this part. Because usually we think of this as a debate, right? One of them has to be right and one has to be wrong. Is the glass half full or half empty? Who's seeing things correctly?
And Trine's answer is just brilliant, he says. Both.
Both of them are right. How does he justify that?
He says they are both right because they are both accurately describing the reality that they're creating for themselves. The pessimist looks at a situation, let's say a challenging project at work.
Yeah.
They see the limitations. They see all the reasons it will fail. They see the lack of resources, the political barriers.
Okay.
By focusing on that, by aligning their unseen thoughts and energy with that limitation, they close the valve. They cut off the inflow of creativity, of solutions. They convince themselves and everyone around them that it's impossible.
So they stop trying to find a way. They give up or they sabotage it with their negativity.
Right. And so the project fails. It crashes and burns. And the pessimist gets to stand there and say, see, I told you it wouldn't work. And they are 100% right. It didn't work for them. They proved their own prophecy correct.
Now, what about the optimist? And we should clarify, we're not talking about a blind, foolish optimism here. We're not talking about someone who just ignores a fire in the kitchen and says everything's fine.
No, Trine calls it a seeing optimism. It's a practical optimism. The optimist looks at the exact same project with the exact same challenges, but they see the potential. They look for the solution. They focus on the connection, the possibility. By focusing their unseen attention there, they open the valve.
So they get the creative idea, they find the energy, they inspire the team, they find the resilience to push through the setbacks.
And so the project succeeds. And the optimist gets to say, I knew we could do it. And they are also 100% right. They are literally living in two different worlds, constructed entirely by two different points of view.
This reminds me so much of the concept of the reticular activating system in the brain, the RAS.
It is the exact same mechanism just described a century earlier.
Yeah.
The RAS is the filter in your brainstem that decides what tiny fraction of the billions of bits of sensory information around you actually gets to your conscious mind.
Right. It's why when you decide to buy a certain model of car, you suddenly start seeing that car everywhere.
They were always there. You just weren't filtering for them. If you tell your RAS the world is hostile and full of threats, it will scan your environment and highlight every potential threat, every angry face, every piece of bad news. It will literally filter out the smiles and the open doors.
So you are physically blind to the opportunities that are right in front of you.
You don't see them. But if you tell your RAS the world is full of opportunity and support, it starts scanning for that. Trine understood that attention is an architect. What you focus on, you build.
So, okay, we have the power. We are the architects. We understand the mechanism. But the million-dollar question is, how do we actually do it? How do we tune in when the world is constantly screaming static at us?
This is the practical how-to section of the book.
Yeah.
And Trine's whole philosophy on this comes down to one phrase: internal stability. He argues that you have to consciously build an inner sanctuary.
Which has to be 1,000 times harder now than it was in 1897. They didn't have push notifications on their phones.
They didn't have a device in their pocket vibrating with the world's tragedies every 5 minutes. The sheer volume of the noise is so much louder now. And Trine says if you let that external static dictate your internal state, you are nothing but a leaf in the wind. You have no stability.
You're just reacting. You're not creating. You're just bouncing off the walls of your life.
Exactly. So to be in tune, you have to cultivate silence. You have to consciously take time to disconnect from the noise of the seen world and reconnect with the quiet of the unseen. He talks a lot about listening to the inner voice. Intuition. Gut feeling. Trine believes that when the noise of the anxious mind settles down, the infinite speaks. And it doesn't speak in a booming voice from the clouds. It speaks as a gentle nudge, a quiet knowing, a sense of go left here or call this person now. But you can't hear that whisper if you're constantly screaming with worry or doom scrolling on your phone.
You know, there is such a strong stoic element to this. I was reading Marcus Aurelius recently, and he talks about the inner citadel, the idea that you can retreat into your own mind and find a place of peace and order no matter what chaos is happening outside.
Trine is very much in that same lineage. He uses that famous line from the poem Invictus, I am the captain of my soul. It's all about sovereignty. He asks this very pointed question, which is something like, why do you let other people rearrange the furniture in your mind?
Oh, I love that image. Don't let people rearrange your furniture. But we do it all the time. Someone cuts you off in traffic, or a coworker makes a snide comment, and suddenly our whole internal house is trashed. We're angry and replaying it for hours.
We just hand them the keys to our mind. Trine asks, why? Why did you let an external effect control your internal cause? When you are truly in tune, you have a kind of psychic shield. Their anger or their negativity hits you and it just slides off. You might feel compassion for them, you might set a firm boundary, but you don't become infected by their state.
He uses that garden analogy, or sometimes he calls it a lotus pond.
Yes. Imagine a pond. If it's fed by a fresh flowing stream and it has an outlet so the water can keep moving, the water is clear and sparkling and full of life. It's circulating. That, he says, is a life that's open to the infinite.
And the stagnant pond.
That's a pond where the inlet has been blocked. The water just sits there, it gets murky, algae grows, becomes toxic and lifeless. That's a mind that has been closed off by fear and resentment and selfishness. It's not circulating. Trine says our main job is just to keep the channel open so the fresh water can keep flowing through us.
And that flow, that circulation, brings us right back to the core theme of this whole discussion: influence. Because if you are that fresh, sparkling pond, people notice.
This is the payoff. This is what he means by spiritual influence. Trine argues that real lasting influence has nothing to do with your elevator pitch or the suit you're wearing or your debating skills. It's about the atmosphere you carry.
And we've all met people like this. You walk into a room with them and you just feel better, calmer. The air feels lighter somehow. You find yourself relaxing without even knowing why.
Exactly. They are radiating something. Trine says that when a person is truly in tune, they carry a presence of peace and power that is felt by everyone around them on a nonverbal level. They don't have to try to influence you. Their very existence is influential because they're transmitting a higher, more coherent frequency.
It's like a form of passive persuasion. You just find yourself wanting to be around them. You trust them more easily.
Because they are stable. In a chaotic world, stability is the single most attractive quality there is. If you're the calmest person in the room during a crisis, you are the de facto leader of that room. Not because you're shouting the loudest, but because you're the most grounded. You're the anchor.
And conversely, we've all met the human energy vampires.
Oh yeah, the stagnant ponds. You walk away from a 5-minute conversation with them feeling drained, tired, maybe even a little depressed.
Trine would say that's because they are literally sucking energy from you.
They are. Because they've cut themselves off from the infinite source, they have a deficit. So they have to try and steal energy from others through complaining or drama or manipulation. But the person who is in tune is overflowing. They have so much life force coming in that it just naturally spills over onto everyone else. They're a fountain, not a drain.
This connects directly to his law of prosperity and the idea of service. He makes this really interesting point that you actually can't be selfish and be in tune at the same time. The two are mutually exclusive.
This is crucial mechanics, not just morality. Remember the ocean analogy. We are all drops in the same ocean. If I'm a drop and I try to hoard resources for myself or hurt you, another drop, I'm fundamentally damaging the very body of water that I'm a part of.
It's like the left hand trying to cut off the right hand to get ahead. It's insane.
Precisely. Trine says that real abundance, real prosperity, comes from service. Because we are all connected, helping others is actually the most self-interested thing you can do. In an enlightened sense, it benefits you because it keeps the flow moving through you.
He literally says selfishness cuts off the flow.
It's like trying to hoard water in a pipe. You just block the pipe.
Yeah.
But if you give freely, your time, your energy, your goodwill, you open the valve even wider, and more flows in from the source to replace it. Generosity is the mechanism that keeps the divine inflow active and strong.
So if you want to be influential, if you want to be prosperous, the secret is to stop thinking about what you can get and start thinking about how you can be a conduit for this power to help and serve others.
That's the great secret. You become a distribution center for the infinite. And a busy distribution center is always full of goods, precisely because they're always moving through.
I want to zoom out for a second and just talk about why this all matters today. We're sitting here in the 21st century. We have artificial intelligence, we have space travel, we have the internet. Why on earth do we need a dusty old book from 1897?
I would argue we need it more now than they did then. Trine lived in a time of rapid industrial and social change. but it was nothing compared to the rate of change today. We are in a crisis of disconnection. We have more communication technology than at any point in human history, yet study after study shows people feel more isolated, more anxious, and more fragmented than ever before.
We're all connected, but we're not in tune.
That is perfectly put. We are wired into the static. We are wired into the noise of the world, the fear, the outrage. Trine offers a solution that doesn't involve buying a new gadget or downloading a new app. He says the power you're desperately looking for, the stability, the peace, the influence, it's already inside you.
It's just a question of where you set the dial on your radio.
Yes, we're all walking, talking radios. We're picking up signals all day long. And most of us are unconsciously tuned to the fear and panic station because that's what the world broadcasts the loudest. It gets clicks, it sells papers. Trine is simply teaching us how to consciously and deliberately turn the knob, how to tune in to the clear signal of the infinite station.
And when you find that station, the static just fades into the background. The music comes through.
And you become a source of that music for everyone else around you. That is real spiritual influence. It's providing a clear signal of peace in a world that is drowning in noise.
It's a beautiful concept. And it's empowering because it shifts the weight of the world off your shoulders. You realize you don't have to carry it all by yourself. You just have to stay connected to the thing that carries everything.
You're just the channel. Your only job is to keep the channel clean, and the power takes care of the rest.
So, to just recap the journey we've taken here today, we started with that golden thread, the idea that all effective people are following a law, not some kind of magic. We looked at the ocean and the drop, the fundamental fact that we are made of the same stuff as the infinite.
Then we moved into the architecture of reality, how the unseen mind builds the seen world. We can't scrub the mirror. We have to change the blueprint in our thoughts.
We talked about the optimist and the pessimist both being right because they literally create the world they're focusing on. And finally, we landed on influence, not as a tactic, but as the natural byproduct of being a radiator of peace and a conduit of service.
It's a remarkably complete system. It sounds very simple when you lay it out like that, but let's be honest, it is not easy.
No, not at all. It's simple, but it's hard.
It requires discipline. It requires that constant moment-to-moment vigilance to notice when you've closed the valve. You don't just get in tune once and then you're set for life. You drift. You get angry. You get scared. You get pulled back into the static.
It's a practice. It has to be a daily practice.
Absolutely. Just like tuning a musical instrument. You can tune a guitar perfectly, but if you play it for a while, or move it around, or the temperature changes, it goes a little flat. You have to stop, listen carefully, and tune it back up again. That is the daily work of maintaining that inner sanctuary.
I think that's a great place to begin to wrap our minds around this. It's about the constant, gentle maintenance of the soul.
The maintenance of the connection.
Before we close out, I want to leave everyone with one final thought to chew on. Trine suggests, at several points in the book, that if we fully realized our oneness with this infinite power, if we really truly got it in our bones, without a shred of doubt, we would be practically limitless. The only limits we experience are the ones we impose on ourselves by closing that valve.
It is a staggering thought. It implies that our potential as human beings is far, far beyond what we currently accept for ourselves.
So the question for you listening is this. What part of your life is currently full of static? Where are you feeling exhausted or stuck or fearful? And is it possible that in that one specific area, you've been trying to fix the effect on the outside instead of tuning the cause on the inside? Are you still scrubbing the mirror instead of washing your face?
That is the question to sit with.
Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist and please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.